Picture the box of floss sitting untouched in the bathroom drawer, or the vitamins gathering dust 3 weeks in. You bought them, you meant it, and somewhere around day 5, the whole routine quietly evaporated. Your immediate reaction is probably familiar. You assume you lack discipline. You tell yourself you simply don't have the willpower to stick to a daily routine, and you absorb the failure as a personal flaw. But the habit didn't fail because of your character. It failed because of a wiring mistake. You attached that new behavior to a routine that doesn't actually fire reliably. This goes back to a concept known as habit stacking. The mechanism is simple. You take a behavior you already do on autopilot, like making coffee or brushing your teeth, and you glue a new action right behind it. By piggybacking on the existing wiring, you get a reliable behavioral trigger for free. On paper, it sounds flawless. So why do the vast majority of these attempts fall apart by the second week? The breakdown happens because a collapsed habit is a mechanical failure of the anchor you chose. Once you diagnose the specific point of structural failure, you can fix your routine exactly like an engineering problem. The most common place this system breaks is a simple frequency mismatch. This diagram shows what happens when you decide to do a daily gratitude journal right after you get home from the gym. It sounds perfectly reasonable until you realize you only go to the gym 3 times a week. 4 days out of 7, the cue never fires. A daily habit requires a daily anchor. Your new behavior has a rigid ceiling. It can never be more reliable than the trigger you bolt it to. The second structural failure comes from trying to make your routines too interesting. Popular self-help advice often tells you to keep things fresh by varying your environment, which turns out to be the exact opposite of what you actually need. Look at this data from a 2022 Frontiers in Psychology study. Researchers tracked students building a new study habit. The group that kept their context stable, same place, same time, saw their automaticity climb sharply. The group that deliberately varied their routine flatlined, remaining stuck in a zone where every single repetition required conscious effort. Environmental stability and intense repetition are the required mechanisms to push a behavior out of conscious effort. Novelty keeps you stuck at the starting line. Even with a stable environment, you can still sabotage the system with a vague cue. Telling yourself you'll do 10 push-ups during lunch is a fog. It relies on a hazy intention floating in the air. Compare that to deciding you will do 10 push-ups the exact moment you close your laptop to eat. Without a sharp, unmistakable physical trigger, your brain never receives a precise signal. If the signal is blurry, the necessary cue and response loop simply cannot form. And then there is the timeline illusion. We are consistently told that a new routine takes exactly 21 days to build. This timeline graphs the actual data from multiple major studies, including research from Philippa Lally's team at University College London. It shows that 21 days is essentially a failure zone, where the behavior still requires high effort. True peak automaticity takes a median of 59 to 66 days to achieve. There is no trigger clever enough to skip those repetitions. The anchor's sole purpose is to make sure you show up to do the work. Surviving the difficult middle stretch of habit formation means abandoning short-term expectations. You have to accept the mathematical reality of a 60-day timeline. With those failure points diagnosed, we can turn this into a specific 5-step engineering blueprint to build a structurally sound habit. Steps 1 and 2 are about selection. Scan your day for guaranteed, boring autopilot actions, like locking your front door or starting the coffee maker. Then, ensure the frequency of that action precisely matches the rhythm your new habit needs. Step 3 mandates extreme specificity. You must name the exact physical location and the exact moment the habit will occur, eliminating any guesswork from the equation. Step 4 enforces context stability. You have to completely close the physical and temporal gap between the old anchor and the new habit. Do not leave any room for life to sneak in and disrupt the sequence. Finally, Step 5 is preparing for that 60-day window. When you feel like quitting on day 15, recognize that the struggle is standard operational progress, not an indicator of failure. You're shifting from forcing a behavior with discipline to selecting a routine that can carry the load. By engineering the right anchor and maintaining that stable context, you build the automaticity that sustains the habit on the days you don't feel like showing up.
Once the association is formed, the routine does the heavy lifting.